In a referendum held on October 2nd, Colombia voted no to the peace agreement between the government and the FARC guerrilla group. Both parties had to renegotiate the treaty, and after 5 weeks, a new version of the text has just been signed. Today's Focus takes a closer look at the situation.
In the heart of the Choco region, the village of Bahia has lived one of the worst tragedies of the Colombian conflict.
People say that the souls of the dead are still in the church.
About 100 people died in this church on May 2nd, 2002, during a battle between the guerrilla and paramilitaries in the village. One of the FARC's improvised explosive devices fell onto the church's altar. Lena lost 28 family members.
This was the crucifix. We were able to save it, but most of the dead bodies were like this after the explosion, totally torn to pieces.
The victims had taken refuge in the church during the battle.
These were their names.
During the peace process, the FARC recently came here to ask for forgiveness.
We saw that the FARC's behavior had changed. The victims say that this ceremony, during which the FARC recognized their faults, helped them be more at peace.
In Bahia, many villages still carry the scars of the tragedy. But 95% of its inhabitants voted yes to the referendum on the peace agreement signed in September.
Our memories are still vivid. This is why Bahia said yes to peace, because we don't want other villages to live the same experience.
The peace agreement should come with development aid for war-torn rural areas. Bahia hopes that peace will return and finally allow its economy to take off.
Most people who voted no live in cities. They only saw the war on TV.
Since the victory of the no, Colombia seems to be divided in half. In larger cities like the capital, Bogotá, more conservative groups campaigned on the political threat represented by the FARC.
God does not want to see Colombia fall into the hands of the communists.
The peace deal allows the transformation of the guerrilla into a legal political party and sets up a restorative justice system. Former guerrilla fighters will even be allowed to run for election.
Colombia said no on October the 2nd. We don't want this bad peace deal.
For Constanza, no concession should be made to the FARC. She lives in Ciudad Bolivar, the capital's largest poor neighborhood. Here, most people voted against the peace agreement.
Did you vote in the referendum?
Of course.
What did you vote?
I voted no.
Good.
Constanza campaigned in her neighborhood. In Ciudad Bolivar, one particular point had a lot of impact. The rebels would receive benefits that the poorest Colombians don't have access to.
The guerrillas committed crimes against humanity, and they'll be rewarded with a salary, land, and they'll be able to run for elections.
In fact, the guerrilla fighters will not get land nor a salary. But the idea was disseminated by Alvaro Uribe's party. An avowed enemy of the peace process, he wants heavier penalties for the rebels, like prison sentences. Constanza and her family are unconditional supporters of the former president.
I admire his character and his honesty. He taught me how to be a woman of conviction.
In spite of the changes made to the treaty, Uribe's supporters keep denouncing this peace deal that they still consider too soft on the rebels. But the desire to defend peace has sparked unprecedented mobilizations in Colombia. Since the failure of the referendum, dozens of citizens have set up a camp on the Bolivar Square, in the center of Bogotá, demanding an agreement as soon as possible.
This is one of the tents in the peace camp.
The treaty has just been reshaped with inputs from the No campaign. With the signature of this new agreement, the activists are about to break camp.
We promised that as soon as the new agreement was signed, we'd leave. What counts is that we don't want this war anymore. We have to stop killing each other and start building a lasting peace.
President Juan Manuel Santos now has to have the agreement approved. But time is running out. In the Colombian jungle, 6,000 guerrilla fighters are waiting to lay down their arms. Most Colombians hope that this 52-year-old war will soon be just a bad memory.